Thinking this morning about the telltale signs founders and CEOs should look for to confirm their need for better messaging or for a messaging sprint. So the first telltale sign that you should look for is missing elements of urgency and rewards in sales conversations. So if you're listening to your sellers or you're watching recorded sales demos, discovery calls, and you don't hear those elements of urgency that are making prospects kind of lean forward, their ears perk up, and they're not talking about rewards, then it's just a conversation about your product, right? And there's no reason why the prospect should act in the timeline that you want them to act in. That's number one. Number two is the secret slide problem. So these are slides that you haven't seen before that you find in active capabilities decks, discovery decks, proposal decks. These are decks that your sellers are using, marketing might be creating that you just haven't seen before, you haven't been a part of creating. And they might not fit the vision that you have or the narrative that you're trying to tell. So if you see these, it's another sign that you need to address messaging issues. Third is value propositions that focus on your business and products instead of the outcomes that your customers are looking for. This is a really common one for a lot of SaaS companies because you build really cool features, really interesting, different ways of approaching problems, and so the value propositions, the language that you use to talk about those are usually focused on yourself versus what those features and products do for your customers. So look for that. Number four, one-off marketing campaigns that test new messaging every month. I see this a lot. I've experienced this a lot working for startups where marketing needs to create new campaigns that drive new leads, top of funnel leads for the organization, and so they're constantly testing new messaging for different audiences, but there needs to be a clear strategy and framework in place that allows for more strategic testing of messaging. And then number five is no training materials or out-of-date training materials in terms of messaging, positioning, value propositions, ICPs, or personas. If you don't have updated training materials, it's really hard for your sellers and for your marketing people to understand how they should be communicating. So those are the five things. If you recognize any or all of these five telltale signs in your organization, it might be a sign that you need to think about fixing messaging, thinking about going through an engagement. Those are my tips for you today. All right, we'll see you again.